We bring you back to Rogers Arena on an overcast day in Vancouver, where the Canucks will play host to the Edmonton Oilers and put a lid on the 2025-26 preseason schedule. For Chris Oct, gifted with a 3-year contract extension today, he'll start Darnell Nurse and Troy Stecher on the blue line. The opening line will be centered by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who grew up about 20 minutes from here with no traffic. His line mates will be Andrew Mangiapane and Vasily Podkolzin, and with Stuart Skinner still a little bit under the weather, it'll be Calvin Pickard in net. Your starting lineup brought to you by our friends at Coventry Homes, building a strong team, one shift, one block at a time. That's Coventry Homes. For Vancouver, it'll be Thatcher Demko in net. Up front, Drew O'Connor with Kiefer Sherwood and Teddy Bluger. And on the blue line, Marcus Pettersson, one of 3 Petterssons in the lineup tonight for Adam Foote's Canucks, and the veteran defenseman Tyler Myers. The captains, Quinn Hughes and Connor McDavid, doing a ceremonial first puck draw as Rogers Arena aglow. The Canucks 3-2 in the preseason. Edmonton 4-2-1, and coming off a 4-2 loss on Wednesday, Bob. But there's 8 different players in the lineup from that particular encounter. Calvin Pickard, though, a chance to get another start, some more work, coming off a game where he didn't play poorly. He'd certainly like to give away back, and Edmonton struggled on special teams. Again, with the way the lineups are constructed tonight, there's no carryover.
Well, I think for Pickard, he'd like to have one play back in the first period to kind of change the complexion a bit of the game and gave Seattle a little bit of control. I loved how the Oilers played. They worked their tail off. A much better lineup tonight, obviously, and including the big boys should be fun.
Native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
880
Oh Canada,
no,
sound we stand on
802 newts. 8 settings. 205. Settings window. Windows dark. Color mode. Browse more. Color mode. Windows dark. 1 images. Windows dark. View all devices. Add device. Bluetooth. Toggle. Windows update. Drop it. Rename. Home break from bar. Home break from bar item. Heading level 1. 1 of 1. Home 1 of 1. Hidden cardinal. Search box. Give feedback. Get help. Get help. Browse more background. Browse more back. Color mode. Windows dark 1. View all devices. Button. Add device. Bluetooth. Sound. Windows update. Last check. Drop it. 941 connected. Rename. Home break from bar item. Home 1. System. OneDrive managed. Windows display. Microsoft rename.
As the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks wrap up the preseason, the Oilers coming off 4 consecutive 100-point years, and the Vancouver Canucks coming off a disappointing season following a surprise Pacific Division title in 2024, dropping off to a 38-30-14 record and missing the playoffs by 6 points. As I mentioned, they're 3-2 in the preseason, while Edmonton was losing in Seattle on Wednesday. Vancouver pummeled Calgary 8-1 on Wednesday at the Saddledome. Canucks will open their season on Thursday against the same Flames. Bluger and Nugent-Hopkins, and we're underway in the preseason finale with Teddy Bluger winning the opening face-off. It'll be Tyler Myers laying it up the right-hand side. The Canucks in the blue and green, outlined in white, moving right to left in this first period of play. Bluger in the offensive zone with a shot that was deflected off of Troy Stecher, who cut his teeth in the NHL in this same Vancouver organization, coming out of the University of North Dakota, where he was a college teammate of Brock Besser. They won a national championship together, as a matter of fact. Oilers advanced as far as the Vancouver blue line, and Mangiapane cut off. He'll kick it back to Darnell Nurse. Only 2 players in the NHL preseason have scored more goals than Nurse's 3. McDavid slides to Draisaitl, tried to feather it inside. Bouchard tried a shot, and that was blocked and grabbed by Elias Pettersson. So many questions around him. We'll talk more as we move through tonight's broadcast. DeBrusk and Besser, his line mates. Pettersson wheels it to Besser, who dropped off to 25 goals a year ago after having 40 the year before. Draisaitl flicked it back inside the Vancouver blue line, where Demko will leave it for Quinn Hughes. Third of the Norris Trophy voting last year after winning it in 2024. Ty Emberson crowded in the corners. He tried to play it for Edmonton. The Oilers in their white uniforms outlined in orange and blue. McDavid to Draisaitl. And left to right, Draisaitl finds a rink-wide effort for Emberson. He'll dump it down low behind the Vancouver net, where it's Demko leaving it for Roenick, up to Hughes, and now a shot by Philip Hedl, who was very good the other night as Edmonton bested Vancouver in a preseason game at Rogers Place 4-3. Hedl was probably Vancouver's most effective forward that night. Canucks hemmed in a bit in their own zone, and Hedl makes a nice play off the half wall up to center, and it's driven in by Lekkerimäki, who figures to make the team after appearing in 24 games a year ago. Nurse setting the table for the Oilers. He had a power play goal in the Wednesday night loss to Seattle. Here he fires a pass up the gut that was tipped, and it's retrieved by Pettersson, who arrived with O'Connor in a trade with Pittsburgh midseason last year. Sent in deep. Nurse will corral for Edmonton. Nifty play off the wall by Kapanen, and now on the move comes Ike Howard, trying to get around Marcus Pettersson, who reeled him in and forced Howard into a cross-seamer that's played out to Bouchard by Kasperi Kapanen. Down low to Tomášek. David Tomášek at age 29, making the trek over to play in the National Hockey League. He'll give it up for Mattias Ekholm. Tomášek, nifty play to Kapanen. Spin move to his right. Couldn't get a shot away, however. Ekholm did well to hold the zone. Tomášek had a shot blocked, but Ekholm stayed with it. Howard in the offensive zone, sharp angle, and that's held by Demko with 3 minutes gone by in the first period. No score in the hockey game, and Ekholm twice kept that play in the offensive zone alive for Edmonton.
Real nice touch pass by Tomášek. And we talked, and you're bang on about Hedl. I thought Hedl just wasn't the best Canuck in that game. He might have been the best forward. I know McDavid and Draisaitl had big games, but Tomášek did a great job using his 6'3", 200-plus pound frame to protect the puck and create a look there for Kapanen.
He's not just a shooter, although he did lead the Swedish league in goals 2 years ago. He led the entire league in points last year. A little bit of a double threat that way.
As you know, there were lots of teams looking at him as a free agent.
Sent in deep by Kiefer Sherwood. Here's Calvin Pickard. Chips it up the right-hand side to Ty Emberson. Calvin Pickard, including the postseason, has a record of 42, 19, and 2 as an Oiler. That is outstanding, especially for a number 2 guy. Here's Nugent Hopkins, chipping it behind Mangiapane. Clear by Drew O'Connor. Off the right-hand side, it's sent in by Sherwood, coming off a career year. And again, we talked last week, Bob and I did, about Sherwood and the impact he had not only in Vancouver, but the lack of his presence and what it meant in Nashville as the Predators tumbled from being a playoff team into completely out of contention. Tyler Myers up the right-hand side for Vancouver. Brock Besser to Pettersson. Looking to prove that he's a lot closer to the 100-point player he's been than what he was last year, which was, quite frankly, an average forward. Troy Stetcher to Darnell Nurse, especially 5-on-5. Besser tried to tuck it inside. Elias Pettersson to Myers, a hard, low shot that's held by Pickard with 4 1/2 gone by in the first period. And ultimately, Bob, and again, this is an Edmonton broadcast, but because we're in Vancouver and because we'll see them again in 8 days, it's worthy of note what Elias Pettersson and his career track means for Vancouver. And one of the biggest reasons we're talking about it is because of what that salary cap number looks like.
Yeah, it's a big hit, isn't it?
$11.5 million. Bob, I mean, can he get back on track?
He can, and apparently by all reports, he's in great shape. He's going to need, you got to, when you're getting paid that rate, you got to put up at least 80-plus points and be a plus player.
Arrived at camp a little bit earlier than the past couple years. I know the Canucks brass not happy with his off-season program in the summer of 2024. Noah Philp bulldozes his way in, landed a hard hit on Elias Pettersson. That's the defenseman. The defenseman goes by Elias. The forward goes by Elias. And then you've got the Dragon Marcus Pettersson on the back end as well for Vancouver. Canucks bust out. Connor Garland, who was a favorite of Rick Tocchet, the former Canucks head coach. Of course, now they're led by Adam Foote, the longtime Colorado defenseman. A turnover by Philp leads to a chance up top for Roenick and Hughes. They'll trade the puck. Roenick, right point, tried to wrist it down low. That deflected, big hop, and taken in the corner by Matt Savoy. He'll shovel it to Troy Stetcher. Chris Knobloch, a couple days ago, made it clear Matt Savoy is going to start the year with the Edmonton Oilers.
And the Oilers haven't really got going yet this game, Jack. It is just a preseason game.
5.5 gone by in the first period. Tomashik had it stripped by Evander Kane, the former Oiler. Lekkerimäki shot off the rush, and that up near the collarbone of Calvin Pickard, but he was able to make the save, held in by Hughes, and he'll spill it down low beneath the goal line, taken by Ekholm. A pass into the feet of Bouchard. He played it expertly and threw it up the gut. Settled by Demko, left for Roenick under pressure from Howard. He forced a bad pass to Ike Howard, and that will lead to an icing call against the Canucks with 13:49 to go in our scoreless first period. Well, we're live in our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth in Vancouver.
This is one of the best broadcast locations in the league. It's tough to argue with this.
Well, you've got an eye on your family. You're able to see the family before the game, Bob. You're a very content partner.
Is that what it would be?
You got Bama, a big win last weekend, so you should be in high spirits. Here's McDavid. Lining up for a clean face-off win. Quinn Hughes trying to shovel it outside the zone and does so for Lekkerimäki. Draisaitl will track it down. And Bob's going to tell you at the next little stoppage here about a special guest Leon Draisaitl's going to meet later this evening. A steal and a clear by Kiefer Sherwood. The reason he's going to tell you is I don't follow soccer. Centering pass, that was deflected. Here's Sherwood shoveling it across. Myers had a shot kicked wide. Teddy Bluger on it. McDavid stripped him. Wow. Sherwood won a battle from Draisaitl, loading and centering, and that went off the pads of Pickard. A good read. O'Connor might have been looking backdoor for Bluger, and Pickard, that's what he does. Dumped in by Draisaitl and settled by Thatcher Demko. 13:07 to go in the first period. When we come back, that promised anecdote from my broadcast partner, Bob Stauffer. We're live in Vancouver. No score, first period. Preseason finale. It's 4 dealers NHL hockey. The Oilers Radio Network. 7 minutes gone by. First period, no score. Edmonton, Vancouver. All right, who's the soccer player Leon speaking?
Thomas Mueller is now with the Vancouver Whitecaps. He helped Germany win the 2014 World Cup for years. He played it with Bayern Munich, the same team as Alphonso Davies, who, by the way, played for the Whitecaps before he... Oh, look out.
Here's Pettersson off a lead, bursting down the left-hand side. He's cut off by Brett Kulak. Works it up center ice, and now you've got Podkolzin defended by Roenick. Whistled around the boards, hard hit by Pettersson on Emberson, but he stayed with it, and then poked free by Jake DeBrusk. He's got Kulak, and maybe a step on him, but Kulak recovered and brushed his shot harmlessly wide. That was good work by Kulak. For a moment, he was beaten. Here's Mangiapane, backs his way in. Left to right come the Oilers into the attacking zone. As I remind my partner, when we're talking about soccer and a broadcast involving me, Cole's notes will suffice. I don't need the Wikipedia page. Here's Stetcher to Nurse.
Can't believe he didn't know that Alphonso played here before he went to Bayern.
Off to Nugent Hopkins, down low, DeBrusk battling. I do know Alphonso Davies has been out a while.
Yes.
Here's a clearing attempt held in by Nurse. Long-range shot easily flicked aside by Demko and backhanded out by Pettersson. Eventually tracked by Noah Philp. They'll work it to Troy Stetcher. Chip softly inside the Vancouver blue line. Slugged around the boards and out by Roenick. This is going to be icing. Oh, no, they'll wave it off. I guess, again, preseason finale. The officials mindful of that. We've got referees Chris Schlenker and Brandon Schrader on hand. Linesman Brandon Gulritz and Kyle Murchison. Stetcher banged into by Elias Pettersson, the Vancouver defenseman. Savoy wanders over for Edmonton, but as he winds it around, it's going to be cleared by Hedel. Canucks right to left through the middle. Vilander, their rookie defenseman out of Boston University, a chip inside the Edmonton blue line. Highly touted prospect, drafted 11th 2 years ago. Plays for the Terriers, and by all accounts, he'll begin the year in the American Hockey League, though he does wear the number 5. As Bob pointed out, that single digit usually indicates NHL games in the very near future. Lead pass up to Kasperi Kapanen, who ended the second-round series where Edmonton dispatched Vegas in 5. Lekkerimäki up the right-hand side. Here's Tyler Myers, a drive and a save made by Calvin Pickard. 10:39 to go in the first period. But in Kapanen's case, Bob, I mean, he has had a knack in overtime. It might not be quite the biggest goal of his career. Please explain.
Well, he didn't score in the World Cup like Mueller did, but he did. He did score in the World Juniors for Finland.
Overtime winner in the gold medal game against Russia.
There you go.
And he also scored
an overtime winner for the Leafs.
Yeah, double OT. I think that put him up 2-0 in the series against Washington, where the Capitals then won the next 4 and ended up winning the Stanley Cup.
Kapanen signing a 1-year extension at $1 million after being picked up on waivers. And let's face it, Jack, he was better in the playoffs than he was in the regular season.
And you like his speed in the middle six.
And that's why, because he can skate and it becomes a faster game.
Ekholm moves in, takes a shot, whacked it wide for the left point. Kapanen on the rebound with help from Bouchard. Defended by Vilander. First name is Tom. Here's a shot by Ekholm, deflected. Up off the boards, Bouchard. High slot, Kapanen. Now Ekholm. Wrist shot, saved Demko. Juicy rebound. Pettersson couldn't get it clear. Kapanen given it a second chance. Gives it for Adam Henrique. He'll slide it around the boards. Bouchard steps up inside Kapanen. Smart pass inside to Tomashik, but he couldn't convert. Kapanen tried to get right back on top of it. Ultimately cleared by Lekkerimäki.
Is that a play that Tomashik makes in 2 months from now, getting used to playing on the tighter ice surface here than in Europe, where you have a little bit more, or over in Europe, where you have a little bit more time and space?
Bouchard, lead pass right-hand side, poke checked off the stick of Trent Frederick. Boy, was that line hot the other night against Vancouver. Teddy Bluger inside the offensive zone, swept in front, open man Roenick, right circle shot, save made by Calvin Pickard. Rebound whistled out to the half wall, cleared by Frederick, up to Draisaitl, settled by Quinn Hughes. Hughes sprints down the middle, tried to hit Bluger, and eventually he was able to get his heel of his stick on it. So Troy Stetcher collects in the Edmonton zone, and it's on to Frederick. Got knocked off his stick from behind. Myers will reverse ahead of McDavid, but then Marcus Pettersson gave it right back to the Edmonton captain. So Draisaitl moves in, tried to go cross ice with it, and that was broken up. Draisaitl led the league a year ago. His first Rocket Richard trophy, 52 goals. McDavid, and remember, he missed 11 games. Down the stretch, probably cost him the MVP, and I'm not so sure he shouldn't have won it anyways. He should have won it. Here's Emberson. Off to Darnell Nurse. Ty Emberson resetting. Both teams making changes on the fly. We have 8.5 to go in a scoreless first. Oilers left to right. Kulak cut off at center. And now grabbed and worked ahead. Ultimately taken by Pettersson against Vasily Podkolzin, who was a highly touted first-round pick of the Canucks, and inexplicably didn't work out with Rick Tocchet. Nugent Hopkins centered, and that went off the stick of Kulak. That could have been in the net. Kulak coming off career highs in goals and points. Open man is Emberson. He'll bump it down low to Mangiapane. Emberson, a right-handed shot, stationed at the left point. Gives it up for Nugent Hopkins. He'll wrist it toward the front of the net. Mangiapane able to win a battle and create for Vasily Podkolzin, who had 8 goals and 24 points a year ago for Edmonton, and in a bit of a trivia question, scored the last goal of Edmonton's season. Filipino. Tied up on the half wall, taken away by Kulak, centering pass, and Elias Pettersson able to knock it down with his right hand. Got it back from Connor Garland, and it's a reset, 7 1/4 to play in the first period, no score. Agree with you. That was well hockey sense from Elias Pettersson, realizing he's got 4 appendages there he can work with. And Evander Kane tried to funnel it inside in the corner, and that bumped off Darnell Nurse. You've got Troy Stetcher launching one down the middle behind Roenick, pursued by Ike Howard, and played by Roenick up the right-hand side.
We already got to switch the lines here, Jack.
Here's Savoy jumping up with Howard and then looking to get it back. Savoy had his stick tangled up. No call. Philp with Savoy and Howard right now. Cleared by Kane. And up the gut, it's sent in deep by Braden Coots, who's Vancouver's first-round pick from this summer's draft. A lot of people are saying he might get the 9-game NHL trial. Draisaitl to McDavid off the rush, had his pocket picked. Frederick there to pick it up in the right circle. Got it to Draisaitl. Puck rolled off his stick, and Myers will lay it off the plexi and back to center, taken by Ekholm as we approach 6 minutes to go in our scoreless first period. Hammered off the boards and down the ice by Pettersson, and because he was under duress and not yet at the red line, that's an icing call against the Canucks.
So for the second consecutive game, a quick decision by Chris Knobloch to put Howard and Savoy together. That time with Noah Philp. And frankly, there should have been a hooking call going. Savoy was free and he got reeled in.
Oh, there was no question. That was a penalty all day. But as you noted earlier, we're going to likely see fewer whistles than many more. And certainly we saw a ton Wednesday in Seattle. And there's a trip by Sherwood off the draw on McDavid. So we are going to have a penalty called at 14:02 of the first period. And when we come back, Edmonton will be on the power play for the first time tonight. McDavid draws a tripping call. No score. First period. Rogers Arena in Vancouver, BC. It's Ford Dealers NHL Hockey. The Oilers Radio Network.
Oilers Radio Network.
Oilers power play. Take the ice, and you've got McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Nugent Hopkins, and with Zach Hyman injured for at least the first month of the season, David Tomashik is going to get a look on this first unit, run by Paul McFarland this year with a coaching change. Glenn Gulletson having departed the Oilers to take over for a second time as the head man in Dallas.
Tells you what he's thought of, Jack, when the team had fired him, brings him back as a head coach.
Well, he has a lot of tenure with Jamie Benn. Here's Connor McDavid with a burst of speed down the right-hand side. Cuts left. Draisaitl will give it up for Bouchard. Now McDavid left circle over to Draisaitl, and that was tipped over the stick of Draisaitl. Was able to reel it in, give it back to Bouchard, and then he'll get it right back top of the right circle. A couple years ago, Draisaitl buried 32 on the power play. Shot by Bouchard, and Demko threw a screen set by Tomashik, and Nugent Hopkins able to come up with it.
I'm going to guarantee you there's no way that David Tomashik, when he was the Swedish League goal-scoring champ the one year and the points champ the next year,
he didn't have McDavid and Draisaitl as sidecars?
Well, he didn't. There's no way with his shot he was the net front. He was shooting the pill. He wasn't sitting there as the net front. This is interesting to me what they're trying to do here.
Face-off win for McDavid. Power play continues. Nugent Hopkins waits for a pass from McDavid and then gives it back to his captain. McDavid coming off the half wall. Tomashik once again net front. Kicked out to Bouchard. Off the boards, McDavid. And now Bouchard high slot. McDavid loads. Nugent Hopkins, Tomashik pops out, and that's where I think you're going to see that shot from Tomashik. He'll pop out occasionally. McDavid gives it to Tomashik down low in the left circle. Saucered across. Bouchard a brief bobble. Threw it across to McDavid. Got away with it against Pettersson. Now Bouchard's open. Sets up McDavid. Left face-off dot. Power play sitting at a minute, and a save made point blank on Tomashik. This power play brought to you by our friends at Atco Energy, your trusted Alberta retailer, and a pretty good feed inside. Tomashik, net front presence, and he was able to deflect it on net, but Demko made the glove save.
Well, imagine how different this is. You don't have Zach Hyman, and Evander Kane in a salary dump gets moved to Vancouver. He would have been an option as a net front, but you also had Corey Perry, who did a great job there when Hyman went out. So that's three guys that were options last year in the playoffs. They don't have any of those three guys right now. So Tomashik gets the second unit on the ice.
And that means Henrique, Savoy, Frederick, Ekholm, and Ike Howard. Howard loading from the right circle and did not get what he wanted on that pass. It was picked off and cleared by the Canucks through the middle. Howard scored a power play goal in Winnipeg. Here's Ekholm up the left-hand side to Trent Frederick. He'll pump it back to Adam Henrique. And here come the Oilers. 10 seconds remaining in the penalty to Sherwood. It's Howard off to Ekholm. The return pass tipped by Myers, collided with Frederick. Howard tried to center a rolling puck, came off the boards, and a lunging play made by Garland. Raced to the puck and Pickard ahead of Sherwood was able to lay it off to Howard. Sprinting to his left is Adam Henrique, cut off by Wilander, and then Henrique got it back and put it back behind the net. The most famous Wilander out of Sweden you can come up with?
Mats?
Correct.
Was he a tennis player?
Won 3 of the 4 majors in 1988.
See.
Darnell Nurse up the left-hand side. That was excellent, Bob. That's not necessarily your sphere of interest, but you came up with it on the fly. But Colson up the left-hand side.
I could probably only name one other Swedish tennis player. He was pretty good.
Absolutely. Same first and last initial.
Yes.
Well, I think he did pretty well off the court as well.
Bjorn Borg, yes. Yes, well, that would not surprise me.
Face-off right side of Calvin Pickard. 3:14 to go in the first period. No score in the hockey game. Edmonton just came up empty on a power play and was whistled for an icing call. So Pettersson will take the draw against Noah Philp. And if Noah Philp wants regular time in the NHL, these are the kind of draws he's going to have to win. And his second effort keeps it alive for Stetcher in the corner. And the Oilers have a chance to break out of the zone. Nurse up the gut. What kind of argument has Philp made to be in the lineup opening night?
5-on-5, he's been very good. The only question is killing penalties and winning draws. That's going to be the only thing that potentially keeps him out of the opening day lineup. He's going to be on the team. They're not going to risk putting him on waivers.
Here's Stetcher, winding it along, taking along the boards. Roenick working over Mangiapane down low. Philp continues to battle, freed it up for Stetcher. Out of the corner, Mangiapane shrugged off a check for Pettersson and let one fly, but that was blocked by Garland. And now it's Pettersson with a soft chip off the backhand side inside the Oiler blue line. It's going to be corralled by Stetcher with 2:20 to go in this rapidly moving first period. And if you're like Bob and I, the key there is rapidly moving. Here's McDavid, a pick set by Kapanen. He'll be called for interference by referee Chris Schlenker. And the first power play of the game awarded to Vancouver. We'll have it for you when we come back to Rogers Arena. 2:12 to go in the period. Kapanen in the box for interference. No score in the preseason finale. The Oilers, the Canucks, from Rogers Arena in Vancouver, BC. The Oilers Radio Network. Power play for the Vancouver Canucks as Kapanen clattered into Elias Pettersson, and it was called. So we've got a face-off coming to Calvin Pickard's right-hand side. Shots in this game, 8-6 for Vancouver. Pickard has stopped them all. Vancouver power play was right there with Edmonton's last year. 22%, Edmonton was 23%. And off the draw, Quinn Hughes. And Evander Kane up top. Hughes redirected wide from the high slot. Kane down low. Nap Auto Parts penalty killing unit. Savoy, Philp, Ekholm, and Bouchard. And a clear for the Oilers with a rolling puck that skitters inside the Vancouver line.
As you know, Savoy and Philp held together last year in the American Hockey League for Colin Shaw.
Both of whom had excellent years. in Bakersfield. Jake DeBrusk drops it off for Kane. Whistled around the boards. Pedersen will shovel it down low. DeBrusk inside. Backdoor play. Spinning and shooting is Kane, and that was blocked by Pickard. Rebound Mangiapane. Pursuing. Freed up, however, by Besser. Hughes will walk the line. High slot. Move it to Pedersen. Across to Besser. Now a one-timer taken by Hughes and a block shot for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and that's the arsenal that Hughes has added. Here's a little give and go, and Nugent-Hopkins able to one-hand one on net and create a face-off. Demko forced to cover, but a couple years ago, Quinn Hughes really didn't have that in his game. His goal scoring was in the single digits, no longer, and that's why it's generally considered the gap between Makar and Hughes is a lot tighter than Hughes and the rest of the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Look who's out here.
Draisaitl
and McDavid.
McDavid on the PK with Nurse and Stetcher.
Of course, Janmark's out with an injury right now.
Draisaitl won the faceoff. Here's McDavid on the PK, backing off for Draisaitl, and Edmonton's going to reload with a minute to go in the period. It's a 12-second differential between the end of the penalty and the end of the period. So Chris Knobloch not only looking to kill this off, but maybe getting a shift 5-on-5 late that could put Vancouver in trouble. Lekkerimäki walks in. Hard pass, not handled. And Draisaitl will whistle it down the ice. And now he and McDavid will come off, so that's rendered moot with a half minute to go in the period. Philp is back out there with Savoy, challenging Ekholm and Bouchard, the two defensemen, and Ekholm hacked it free on an attempted rush by Vancouver, and that allowed Noah Philp to clear to the red line. Roenick over to Lekkerimäki. He'll send it around. Pickard could not knock it down. Ekholm failed to get it out, kept alive. Lekkerimäki, one-timer scoop from the left circle. And with 9.3 to go in the first period, that'll be an even strength goal for Vancouver. It's 1-0 Canucks. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, 15th overall pick in 2022.
He can shoot the puck. We know that about him.
He buried that one. Top right corner. Not much chance for Pickard. But the Oilers had an opportunity to clear. Did not get it done.
Can't defer too much. And Ekholm and Philp did a little bit of an I got it, you got it routine there. And Lekkerimäki just rifled one idle glove side on the netminder, Calvin Pickard.
And Lekkerimäki involved in that long postseason run that culminated in Abbotsford winning the Calder Cup last year. And they've got a couple of holdovers from that team, Bob, that are going to make the Canucks out of camp. That's Lekkerimäki's second of the preseason. Off the draw, Marcus Pedersen wheels back into his own zone, up to Drew O'Connor, and as it's whistled high and wide by Kiefer Sherwood, that'll do it for the opening period as both teams fail to convert the power play, but the Canucks, with the Oilers just haven't come back to full strength, able to get one lit. It's Jonathan Lekkerimäki.
As you know,
4-2-1 thus far in the preseason, and coming off 4 consecutive 100-point regular season campaigns, 3 trips to the conference final in the last 2 years, losers in the Stanley Cup final to the Florida Panthers, who, of course, if you haven't heard by now, perhaps you're still not in hockey mode yet, have lost their captain, Sasha Barkov, for the entire regular season. Jonathan Lekkerimäki could really shoot it from Braden Coots. The only goal of that first period came with 9.3 left on the clock. It's 1-0 Vancouver as we begin the second 5-on-5. Jack Michaels, Bob Stauffer with you live in our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth. Nugent-Hopkins against Teddy Bluger, and we're underway with period number 2. Darnell Nurse up the right-hand side. Edmonton and Vancouver will meet in 8 days' time at Rogers Place in downtown Edmonton, where the Oilers demolished the Canucks twice last year by scores of 7-3, 6-2. Here's a breakdown defensively. Drew O'Connor inside to Teddy Bluger, but he could not sneak a pass through to Kiefer Sherwood, and the Oilers will bring it the other way, right to left. Edmonton in the white uniforms, Vancouver in the blue. Canucks beaten by Edmonton 2 years ago in the playoffs in 7 games. A series the Oilers never led until Game 7 when they built a 3-0 lead and hung on to win 3-2. Nugent Hopkins up the left-hand side. Trent Frederick now. Troy Stetcher on to Vasily Podkolzin. And that was taken off his stick by Quinn Hughes. Podkolzin got back into the mix. Of course, Podkolzin, teammates with most of the core members of this Vancouver squad from that team. Big shakeup last year. JT Miller did not pan out in terms of his relationship with Elias Pettersson. And Jim Rutherford was forced to make a deal that, in his own words, he didn't want to make. Here's Draisaitl driving in right-hand side, and Miller's now the captain of the New York Rangers. Draisaitl, and Hughes got in tight and went in back first into the Oiler boards, and looks a little bit worse for wear, but he's able to pop right back up and eventually dig it out of his own end back to Matthias Ekholm. On to McDavid, who will cut to his right around Besser. McDavid darting in, checked by Elias Pettersson. Got it off to Draisaitl. A look back to Kulak, and that pass to his wrong side, and he was unable to keep it in with the backhand. 2 minutes gone by. Second period, it remains 1-0 Vancouver. Both teams will open the season against the Calgary Flames. Calgary will be in Edmonton Wednesday and here in Vancouver on Thursday. Philip Hedl will swing it in left-hand side, picked off by Noah Philp and worked up the left-hand side for Ike Howard, sent in deep. Finishing his check is Kasperi Kapanen. Hovering close by is Tomasic. Now you've got Vilander and a lunging play made by Ty Emberson to free the puck up for Kapanen. It's sent in deep. Elias Pettersson turned it over. Tomasic unable to hit Kapanen. It was sprinting down the slot. Stetcher holds the zone for Edmonton, and Vancouver's a bit bottled up. Shots were 10-7 in that first period in favor of the Canucks, who did manage to scrape out a 3-2 win in the only regular season meeting between these two last year in this building. And that'll be the last time for several years that there will only be 3 regular season matchups. Here's an offside whistle against Adam Henrique, as Phil perhaps made one move too many as he broke in from the right-hand side. 3 1/4 gone by in the second period. So, Bob, at this point, Janmark doesn't look like he's going to be ready for the regular season. What's the word on Jake Wallman?
He'll be ready.
He'll play Wednesday against Calgary.
Yep. Likely with Darnell Nurse, Stetcher in that spot tonight. Alec Regula was in that spot in Seattle. Played very well. Played 19 minutes. Looked good.
Bumped in by Noah Philp. Taken by Marcus Pettersson, and then reversed up the left-hand side. Tyler Myers to Evander Kane. Rink wide across. He was looking for Lekkerimäki. Picked off by Darnell Nurse. Kane looking right-hand side. And you've speculated that the Oilers might go 13 forwards and 8 defensemen to start the year.
There is I mean, they're going to have to potentially look at putting Hyman on season opening LTIR. May result in a paper transaction, which you can do until October the 10th, until the HL season starts, with David Tomasic. He doesn't have to clear waivers. He would just come back up once you, just because of rookie bonuses. Look out.
Nugent Hopkins on a lead pass from Darnell Nurse. Had it stripped. And it's Quinn Hughes for Vancouver.
The Oilers haven't had much going in this game, John.
Hughes to Roenick up the right-hand side. Had a couple good looks on the power play. Now Mangiapane. Caught a lead pass, but he couldn't do much with it. And Hughes and Roenick will reassume control of the puck. Lifted back to the middle, settled down by Bouchard. Off to Nugent Hopkins. He'll carry the play through the neutral zone. Mangiapane left wing. When he tried to return it to Nugent Hopkins, it was picked off by Roenick, who promptly turned it over. Podkolzin backhand.
No item you download tab item 6 of 6. Sounds recorded
down by Roenick. Now Podkolzin shoots and a save made by Thatcher Demko. So Roenick gave an opportunity. Now a steal. Here's McDavid down low. Mangiapane denied point blank. What a good look. And Thatcher Demko able to come up with a save. Twisted back to Bouchard by Leon Draisaitl. Bouchard over to Draisaitl. Hughes got a piece of the puck. Draisaitl able to gather, set up McDavid, and now Bouchard high slot, looking for a seam to shoot. Not there. Pulls it back. Inside the blue line to Ekholm. Return down low. Frederick will let it go through to Draisaitl up on the right half boards. Hughes is in his grill and forced it out of the zone. Center ice. Bouchard to Leon Draisaitl. He's checked off the puck. McDavid came over to give him a hand. Hits to the net and then could not lock and load for a wrist shot that would have tested Demko. Vancouver will be guilty of an icing call with 14:04 to go in the second period. McDavid just couldn't quite finish that play off after he ducked inside a pair of Canucks and was for a moment open in the slot after earlier setting up Mangiapane for a pretty good look.
There you go. What a chance for Mangiapane. This is the best shift of the game for Edmonton 5-on-5.
Tomasik won the faceoff. Howard will get it back from Ty Emberson. Pressure from Pettersson. Canucks trapped in their own end for now. Pettersson off to Jake DeBrusk and now on to Quinn Hughes. Tireless defender. Down low to Elias Pettersson. He'll try to center. Hughes, a lot of nights, Bob, is going to play half the hockey club, half the hockey game for this club. And he better if they're going to have success. Vancouver, I have as a bubble team right now. I think there are more bubble teams this year in the Western Conference than there were a year ago. You might see, an interloper like Anaheim make a run at a postseason berth this year.
They got a lot of young talent up front.
Demko to knock it down. Vilander. Soft chip up the right-hand side. Nurse across to Troy Stetcher. Intercepted by Elias Pettersson. He'll bang it down low. Picker to knock it down. Utah might have a say in one of the wild card spots.
They've got a couple injuries. They haven't been able to score it all in the preseason, but it's just preseason.
That's the thing. At some point, that club is either going to have to take a step forward or consider radical changes. I thought they might have been on the precipice last year. Here's Noah Philp with Adam Henrique. Marcus Pettersson protecting in the corner. Myers hovering close by. Henrique will guide one out to Darnell Nurse. His shot off balance, deflected wide by Pettersson. And up the right-hand side to Braden Coots, who wound up with an assist on the game's only goal to Lekkerimäki. And now Coots and Lekkerimäki operating on the right-hand side. Kane up top for Myers, Hughes, Lekkerimäki. Little spin move on Henrique. Now slides down low to Braden Coots. His interior pass intercepted by Matt Savoy. And as Bob mentioned, an excellent defensive read by Savoy. Savoy last year in Bakersfield, 19 goals, 54 points. Philp in 11 fewer games, 19 goals, 35 points. Stetcher to Draisaitl. And along with Howard and Tomasik, those four players would certainly love to play a number of NHL games this year. In various roles, perhaps, but they'd like to spend more time at the NHL level than the American Hockey League. Here's a steal by Pettersson. Takes it in for Brock Besser. The Canucks come thundering in left to right. Broken up by Nurse, and now McDavid and Draisaitl come charging up the left-hand side. It's McDavid. Mishandled the puck as he came over the blue line. DeBrusk gave it right back to Mattias Ekholm. He'll race back in, move it over to Frederick. One-time teammate of DeBrusk when the two were in Boston. Tyler Myers up the right-hand side. Ekholm mashed into by Besser. McDavid dug it out of the corner when he tried to center. It was intercepted and laid ahead by Philip Hedl to Besser. Chipped in softly behind the Oiler defense as we approach the midway point of this hockey game. 1-0 Canucks. Bouchard with 10.5 to go in the second period. Right to left, gives it up for Podkolzin. Behind the net to Mangiapane. Nugent Hopkins swung it inside. Bouchard lost an edge, fell down, and Connor Garland the other way. Tried to center. Elias Elias Pettersson couldn't sneak a shot through. Arshdeep Baines hovering close by. Vilander tried to funnel it down low to Garland. Bouchard able to cut that off. Garland got back on top of the puck and returned it up top to center ice, and Hughes will reset back in his own end for Vancouver. Drew O'Connor flicked ahead by Bluger. Garland tried to find Bluger, and Kulak denied that opportunity. Bluger taken off his feet by Emberson. Up top, Roenick. High slot, O'Connor. Change of pace. Lost the stick to Podkolzin, and a shot denied by Calvin Pickard at the expense of Teddy Bluger. But Podkolzin lost his stick, and that left the slot open for Bluger. But Calvin Pickard with one of the best of the 11 saves he's made thus far tonight. It's been quiet on the shot clock here in the second period through 10 minutes. We've got a grand total of 3 shots on net for the 2 hockey clubs. And the score remains Canucks 1, Edmonton 0. This is the preseason finale from Rogers Arena. The Oilers Radio Network.
Not a narrator command. Windows default.
Be a savvy Edmonton hotel shopper. Book your Edmonton's best hotels.com.
50 presented by Rogers. Back for the preseason. Early bird prizing tonight, including a signed Oiler jersey and a pair of lower bowl tickets for the Oilers and the Utah Mammoth. October the 28th at Rogers Place. Jackpot sitting at $92 grand and counting right now. Off the draw in the Oilers zone, Hughes skated to his left, tried to go back to Kane in the right circle. That was broken up. Roenick fired a shot high and wide. It was cleared out by Adam Henrique. Savoy, a collision with Roenick. That freed the puck up behind the Vancouver net. Savoy and Phil trying to dig it out. Familiar with one another's games, Adam Henrique comes off the half wall, but could not make a play to the middle. And Emberson will have to retrieve after a poke check by Vancouver. Henrique on to Brett Kulak. Up the gut, mishandled by Savoy. Off the turnover, Kiefer Sherwood. Moves in for Vancouver. Big hit in the corner. Nice work by Emberson to take out O'Connor. Puck flutters its way to Kulak and into the feet of Noah Philp. Philp backing off, turned it over. O'Connor tried to give it up for Bluger. On the puck is Emberson. Freed it up for Brett Kulak. The Oiler team defense now labeled a strength. The question was whether or not the goaltending will hold up. Stuart Skinner's save percentage in the regular season has declined each of the last 2 years. But again, with 7 postseason wins last year to match Pickard's 7, Skinner helped guide Edmonton back to a Stanley Cup final for a second year in a row. This is an icing call against Edmonton with 8 minutes to go in the second period. Chris Knoblauch's contract extension coming on a day where it's important to remember that not since Scotty Bowman 55 years ago had a coach in his first tenure behind an NHL bench guide a team to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. Bowman did it 3 years in a row with St. Louis, but that was at a time, Bob, as you remember, from 68 to 70, and you remember it well because you were alive as opposed to, say, for instance, yours truly. You had 6 established teams and then 6 expansion teams. So the Blues were a 500 club that went to the final 3 years in a row.
They were the best of the expansion teams.
Here's Roenick to the middle. DeBrusque against Leon Draisaitl. Trying to plow his way through Pettersson. McDavid shifted softly. Hughes up the right-hand side. Nurse a shot sailing wide. Came off the end boards. Roenick carved it up the left-hand side, and Nurse will settle it down. Bob watched those late 60s Stanley Cup final on his Trinitron. Track stats even then as a youngster.
That Blues team didn't have a very good coursing.
Here's Connor Garland in from the left-hand side. Shot Elias Pettersson, and a save made by Calvin Pickard. Kasperi capping it up the right-hand side. And a clear by McDavid. who looks a little bit frustrated or perhaps just tired of the preseason as he gets it in deep.
Well, he won't have to be as tired next year.
Filipino at center. He has 4 games next year and an 84-game regular season. Vilander's shot. That clipped the right shoulder of Pickard on its way by. Rebound Baines, who led the entire Western Hockey League in scoring a few years ago. Pickard slid over to make a nice right shoulder save on Garland, and here come the Oilers off the rebound. Tomášek, one-timer ripped home by Kasperi Kapanen, and this game is tied, and that was absolutely smoked. A couple of right-handed shots hooking up for the equalizer. Kapanen from Tomášek at 13:40 of period 2, and we're tied at 1.
Well, 4-on-2 jailbreak for the Oilers, and Tomášek found the right guy. And sometimes that's a tough pass for a righty to make to a righty to the short side there. And perfectly picked up and executed by Kapanen. Jack, it's got to be stated, Kapanen had some struggles 5-on-5 in the regular season. He was a different player come playoff time. Earned himself.
Oilers weren't as good when they sat him in the postseason. They were better with him in the lineup than not with him in the lineup. And so Kasperi Kapanen has tied the game, and that's his 3rd of the preseason. Tying Darnell Nurse for the team lead. Started with an alert save made by Pickard against Connor Garland, who I believe had picked the corner.
Yep.
Here's Podkolzin to Andrew Mangiapane against Marcus Pettersson. Lost the handle.
That was a stick they didn't call.
5 3/4 minutes left in the second period. Kulak came over and took the puck rather routinely from Evander Kane. Nugent Hopkins, good play to keep a lead pass from Ekholm from turning into an offside, and likewise Kane does it on a lead pass that dribbles into the Edmonton zone. The Oilers clear back through the middle. Here's Elias Pettersson for the Canucks. Centering pass broken up by Emerson, and now you've got Draisaitl, Frederick, and McDavid away. Draisaitl right to left, hits the trailer. Emerson, a backhander to save. Rebound McDavid, tried to kick it out in the slot, and that was stolen and flipped out calmly by Pettersson as we go inside 5 minutes to play here in period 2.
Oilers are moving their feet here a little bit more, Jack.
Draisaitl to Kulak, up the gut. Draisaitl stymied at the Vancouver line. Now you've got Drew O'Connor taken down to one knee on the Bluger. A shot off the rush and a save made by Pickard. Rebound carefully swept up to Frederick by Kulak. Advanced through the middle. Myers will make the play on the puck for Vancouver, and now it's Kiefer Sherwood in deep left-hand side. Tyler Myers, now in his 17th year, save made by Pickard. 4:22 to go in the second period. Myers, seems like eons ago, won the Calder Trophy as a rookie with the Buffalo Sabres in 2009. That was back when Buffalo was an annual playoff participant. Now they've missed the record, missed the postseason a record 14 years in a row. 1-1 our score. Edmonton, Vancouver, 4:22 to play in the second period. And we'll be right back with more Ford Dealers NHL preseason hockey. The Oilers Radio Network. Back in our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth. 1-1 our score, a face-off win, and inside the puck intended for Baines, but he couldn't one-time it on net. Nurse comes up with it for Edmonton in a fierce battle with Philip Hedl. Now Phil breaking away from Garland, hits Nurse in stride. Left wing shot deflected by Vilander over the net, and Hedl on it for the Canucks. Kasperi Kapanen moments ago tying this game for the Oilers off the rush from Tomášek. Here's the loose puck in front, and now we've got a penalty. It will be a hold against Vancouver, and the Oilers will have a power play and an opportunity to take their first lead of the night after Lekkerimäki scored late in the first period to give Vancouver a 1-0 lead.
Well, Noah Phillips had a tough night. He just made a great reverse pivot off the boards, and Wielander was water skiing off, and with one hand on the stick, beat 2 players for a great chance in front.
And created the power play.
Yep.
That pass getting through forced Vancouver's Vilander to
They're going to
take the hold on Philp and at the same time create an opportunity for McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nugent-Hopkins with Tomashik lined up in the slot alongside McDavid. Bouchard stationed left point as Draisaitl will take the draw against Teddy Bluger. 3:48 to go, second period. Second Atco power play of the night for the Oilers. Down low, a backhander, short side. Draisaitl had it stopped by Demko. Fires on him. On to Connor McDavid. Back to Draisaitl on the goal line. McDavid right half boards. Hovering, top of the circle. Back to Draisaitl down low. Saucer to McDavid. Tomashik in the slot. Instead, it's given to Bouchard. His shot, sprawling save, rebound, score. Draisaitl buries the rebound. Demko stopped Bouchard, but then flailed helplessly as Draisaitl buries his third goal inside of a week against Vancouver. He had 2 goals and 2 assists in the win on Sunday, and he's given Edmonton the lead with 2-1 with 3:20 to play in the second period.
Well, Demko made a great glove save off of Bouchard, but he couldn't control a rebound. And Leon rips it home. But starts with a face-off win on the O-zone on the power play by Leon Draisaitl. McDavid will pick up the second assist.
So the Oilers, 2 goals, 3 minutes apart. And after a tough night on special teams, despite the Nurse power play goal, the Oilers gave up a shorty as well as 2 power play goals on Wednesday against Seattle with a decidedly different lineup. Now they've taken the lead 2-1 on their vaunted power play. And again, a lot of people, as Vancouver gets it in deep, Ekholm to play it for Edmonton, talked about how the Oilers' power play fell off. Well, it was still nearly 24%.
It was 26% before Connor and Leon got hurt in the final 15 games of the year.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is it kind of tailed off late in the year. And this is the era of the power play in the National Hockey League. I mean, 10 years ago, Bob, 24% would have led the league.
Right.
Now it's not inside the top 10. Here's Roenick shooting it in for Vancouver with 2.5 to go in the second period. And the Canucks' 1-0 lead after 1 has turned into a 2-1 deficit as we approach the latter stages of this middle frame. Braden Coots muscled off the puck by Kulak down low. He'll fling it down the ice. This should be icing, and Wilander able to beat Podkolzin to the spot with 2:10 remaining in the second period. The shots are 16-15 in favor of Vancouver, but Kapanen and Draisaitl have given an Edmonton a 2-1 lead here late in the second. That late season injury trouble
worked itself into the first 2 games of the LA series as well.
And also, I think, caused, a fall off, not only just in the power play, but you look 11th in goals scored. That was a little deceptive. Yeah. 14th in goals against. The Oilers kind of wandered into the postseason with, by their standards, relatively mediocre numbers. But once LA gave Edmonton life, the Oilers reeled off 4 straight wins against Los Angeles and then dispatched Vegas and Dallas in 5 games. So it was 12 out of 14, make it 13 out of 15 with a win in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final before the Panthers won 4 of the next 5 to win the Stanley Cup. A shot by Wilander as he entered the zone left point, deflected out of play, and that'll bring us to our final timeout of period number 2. 1:35 to play in the frame. Kapanen and Draisaitl with goals here in the second. It's Edmonton 2, Vancouver 1, the preseason finale live from Rogers Arena, the Oilers Radio Network.
As the official medical imaging provider to the Edmonton Oilers, MIC ensures precision in every shot. And if you need medical imaging attention, you can count on MIC to get you back in the game. Whether it's a classic wrist shot, that is, X-ray, soft tissue scan, or advanced imaging, MIC provides timely and expert diagnosis. So go where the pros go and book an appointment at any of their 15 convenient Edmonton and area locations. Learn more at mic.ca.
From backyard rinks to big arenas under bright lights, electricity powers every moment. At Capital Power, we generate reliable, affordable electricity for oil country and beyond, powering innovation, opportunity, and thriving economies across North America. Just like our Edmonton Oilers, we're driven, determined, and lighting up the game. We're powering change by changing power. Get to know us at capitalpower.com.
Hey, Paul Brandt here. Big skies, rugged landscapes. Now that's Alberta in a nutshell. And if you're looking for an SUV that can keep up with this place, check out the Ford Bronco. Built for those who crave adventure, with serious off-road capability and style to spare. Whether you're hitting the mountain trails or exploring the back roads, it's the perfect ride for those who want to experience everything this province has to offer. The Ford Bronco. Adventure awaits at your Alberta Ford dealer. And tell them PB sent you.
Listen on air, online, and on the Radio Player Canada app.
This is the Oilers Radio Network.
2-1 Edmonton, 1:35 to play in the second period. A faceoff coming to the right of Calvin Pickard, who has 15 saves tonight. Won 22 games a year ago in the regular season, and then went 7-1 in the playoffs. Off the draw, Quinn Hughes operating up top for Vancouver against Savoy. High slot, Pedersen. Philip Roenick, top of the right circle. Adam Henrique shadowing tightly. A shot, not much on it from Pedersen. Easy save for Pickard. Rebound around the boards. Adam Henrique swarmed under by Roenick. Calvin Pickard working with new goaltending coach Peter Aubry. Wants Pickard's feet a little bit more set on certain plays. Doesn't want to take away his explosiveness and natural feel for angles. He's got him an old school goaltender that way. But just wants Pickard's feet perhaps a little quieter at times. Inside a minute to go. Pedersen will send it in deep. Ekholm challenging. Connor Garland coming out of the corner. Dishing off, Tyler Myers. Tried to curl it in front. Darnell Nurse was having none of that. Garland with support. Tried to nudge it out in front. Broken up, advanced through to McDavid. Ahead for Leon Draisaitl. Cross line, great shot denied. A save made on Frederick and a rebound covered as well. Trent Frederick with not only the initial shot, but he also got a look and a whack at a rebound. Couldn't put it home. Final 10 seconds. Second period, McDavid to Frederick with Edmonton leading 2-1, stapled by Hedel, and that will be all for period number 2. The Oilers go to the final 20 minutes of the preseason with a 2-1 lead.
Yep, great opportunity for Frederick. You know, he did score 17 and 18 goals. Kind of tried to shoot it in one motion. Maybe puck was rolling a little bit. It's the end of the period. If that's the start of the period, is he picking up cleaner? You give Dempo credit for sliding across, making the save, but you got to elevate the puck if you're Trent Frederick there.
Lecker-Mackey in the first for Vancouver. Kapanen and Draisaitl with goals 3 minutes apart in the second period. Draisaitl's coming on the power play from McDavid and Bouchard.
From an Edmonton perspective,
I would agree. I think the fastest game we've seen so far in the preseason from my standards, just watching them go back and forth, two teams that know each other very well. But yeah, thanks for having me on. It's nice to have the headset back on and be chatting again. And no, I thought it was pretty good. I think it's pretty tight checking. I think the speed has created some turnovers in places that have made it interesting, and it's nice to see a depth goal by Edmonton. And, you know, starting Draisaitl, McDavid together on a line, you have to have that production down the lineup. You have to have lines going, and it was a nice shot by Kapanen, set up by Tomashik down the rush, and I think that line kind of got things going, and the power play finished it off for a 2-1 lead in the second period as the big guys were out there and got it done. So just good stay with it. And I think the penalty drawn too, when you look from behind the net, Noah Philp with Henrique and Savoy, another line again, just digging around the net. Savoy had a great chance in front, and it was saved. It was a good save in tight by Thatcher Demko. But you know what? Those are the types of shifts you like to see. You build on that shift, you draw a penalty, the big guys come out, and they score a power play goal. But back and forth by both sides having their chances.
Yeah, well said there. I wonder what you think of David Tomashek, who's got the assist there set up, Kasperi Kapanen beautifully. Still trying to find exactly where he's going to fit in on this team, but you can tell, obviously, with that first unit power play utilization, that he's been doing things to earn the coaching staff's trust.
What I like about him is he plays a sound, solid game, and that's first and foremost. When you're new to the National Hockey League, and you hear coaches talk about it all the time, it's about getting up to pace number one, but then it's about not hurting the team with your play, making good, sound judgment plays with the puck, using that size to his effectiveness. He's a right-handed shot, and he loves to shoot it, and that's something we haven't seen a whole lot yet, but just look him up on the highlight reel. You'll see what he did over in Sweden. He was a guy that really blasted the puck. You know, he loves to shoot. He's a right-handed shot, and he has a great one-timer. He'll eventually start to release that, I think, a little bit more once he gets confidence. But his positional play right now, for me, is solid. He's strong on pucks. He understands the defensive side of the game, and they're trying him in that middle hole right now, which is not an easy position to jump into the NHL, but he's done it effectively. He can play both wings. He can play center. So a versatile player, and I think that he's really showed well here. But it's the poise. It's the poise that he's playing with. He doesn't look like a guy that's really come over here for his first real stint. He looks like a guy that's been around for a while, and I think he's sponging things up. So the coaching staff has liked what he's done, and you're seeing a little bit of it here in this game too. Down the lineup, when you have players like that trying to push, that's where you're hoping that they swayed in your favor as far as a matchup is concerned.
And while we have you here, just a quick thought on the coaching contract extension for Chris Knoblauch.
I think it's great. You know what? Listen, he's worked very hard to get himself to the National Hockey League. I think just like players, and we don't talk about this enough, but when a coach gets his opportunity to be a head coach in the National Hockey League, it's not just about getting that one-hit wonder and a chance. It's about solidifying your position, doing enough to make them understand that you're good and you're going to move forward. And, you know, for Chris, he's worked hard to get himself to this spot in the National Hockey League. 2 Stanley Cup finals, yes, 2 losses, but I think it was a great extension by the Oilers, and they have a really great young coach, young in as far as experience in the NHL, that's ready for this opportunity. And a little extra step in his stride today, I think, in the morning skate, rightfully so. It's a long haul to get there, no matter what aspect you're talking about to get to the National Hockey League. For head coaching, it's a volatile position. And to get an extension, I think, especially that first extension, it's really, really important. So congratulations to him.
Any thoughts on Jake through 40 minutes?
Hey, you know what? I think their line's done some good things. I think they've been matched up against McDavid's line quite a bit in this game. Not every shift. I know that Adam Foote has kind of switched that up a little bit here and there, but for the most part, they're going head-to-head with that line. And I think when you're up against the McDavid line, especially with Draisaitl and Big Trent Frederic, you're really just trying not to get scored on. Maybe a little too much, I would say. That would be my one critique, is when you're just thinking defense, you're not really forcing them to play defense by being on the offense. I think that's something they could adjust. Hold on to pucks a little more, get going the other way, a little north and south a little quicker, but it's easier said than done when you're trying to go up against the best, and at any time they could put the Jets on. We saw Draisaitl log that puck down the ice one time. McDavid's starting to get his feet going. You never know when he's going to turn those Jets on, so you have to be absolutely aware every time they're on the ice, and I think that's what they're trying to do, and so far they haven't been dashed in that regard, but that is the top line for Vancouver, so they're going to have to provide some more scoring opportunities in the opposite end.
Love it, Louis. Thank you so much. Have a blast this season, and we'll see you around the rink, okay?
Sounds good, bud.
All right, that's Louis DeBrusque there. We do have Rob Brown standing by. Just a quick thought from you, Rob, on I guess Edmonton through 40 minutes, particularly in that second frame. I think we got a good look at what this top line can do.
Well, the line had been quiet most of the night. They get their power play goal, which you expect, as it's the best power play in the National Hockey League. And then they created a chance off a turnover. And Frederic would love to have that one back again. Obviously, he fanned on the shot. Wonderful play by Connor DeLeon. Got the exact play that they wanted. Demko is good. You got to hit your spot. And Frederic fanned on it a little bit. But the Oilers got a little bit better in that second period as the period moved on. Now we'll see come third period just which team has a little bit extra jump in a game that means nothing, but it's the last warm-up test before the real ones start.
Shots on goal reading 17-16 for the Oilers. The scorer, 2-1 for the Oilers. We'll get back with the out-of-town scoreboard. This is At the Intermission. Your Ford dealers NHL hockey is on the Oilers Radio Network.
Sportsnet Plus is your ultimate.
And Oilers, as we go to the third period, the final period of the NHL preseason for both clubs. Edmonton coming in at 4-2-1, having outshot Seattle 34-17 Wednesday night, but falling behind 3-0 thanks to some inefficient special teams. Tonight, it's the special teams that has put Edmonton ahead. A power play goal by Leon Draisaitl with 3:20 left in the second period. The difference right now as we begin the third with Nugent Hopkins alongside Podkolzin and Mangiapane, Nurse and Stetcher, and Calvin Pickard, who stopped 15 of 16 shots through 2 periods in net. Edmonton and Vancouver have split 32 shots evenly as the Oilers outshot the Canucks 9-6 in the second, where they turned a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 lead. Kapanen had tied it off a setup from David Tomashik. Bouchard and McDavid with the assists on the power play goal. And here we go. Final period of the preseason. Jack and Bob live from your Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth. Nugent Hopkins wins the faceoff, and we're underway in the third period. And Nurse starts it with a shot from the blue line. That's handled flawlessly by Thatcher Demko. Again, both teams will open the season against Calgary. Edmonton, for the 35th time in 46 years, opening the season at home. They'll take on the Flames. It's an 8 o'clock starting time on Wednesday. Cam and Bob will have the call. Vancouver plays Calgary on Thursday, and then, as if they were at a tournament somewhere in Alberta, Edmonton will play Vancouver on Saturday. Here's a wide-open Mangiapane set up from Podkolzin, but as he dragged it to his forehand, he could not get a shot away. And give Marcus Pettersson credit for reeling Mangiapane in and preventing him from extending the lead. Nurse a slap shot off the rush from inside the blue line, and Demko likewise a solid save to keep the score 2-1 in favor of Edmonton.
All right, Jack, so here's the deal. Tonight and tomorrow night are the last 2 days of the Canadian Finals rodeo at Rogers Place, and then the staff at Rogers Place goes overtime to clean the building up over and over again all day Sunday. A lot of the staff get Monday off, so it's going to limit the amount of events at Rogers Place on Monday. Some stuff needed to be pushed to Tuesday as a result, but they're going to go out of their way because that CFR, as you know, is very popular, but there is a distinct odor left in the building when you host the look out.
Jake DeBrusk trying to work his way around Bouchard, and did, able to one-hand it into the waiting glove of Calvin Pickard. DeBrusk coming off his 4th 25-goal campaign last year, scored a career-high 28.
I know there were people saying, well, I hear there's an event that was canceled on Monday. It has in part to do, which is not to say that there might not be a signing between now and then, but it has more to do with the available staff because they're going to be working overtime over the last 4 days and then going into Sunday as well.
Pettersson won the face-off, but Hughes' shot was smothered, and here comes McDavid away with a rebound. Hits Ekholm the trailer, and he had his stick lifted just as he was set to release a high percentage chance. Quinn Hughes has the puck taken from him by Draisaitl. Bouchard, one-timer McDavid from a sharp angle. That looked like the reverse of what it usually is, with McDavid taking a one-timer from a spot that Draisaitl usually occupies. In fact, that's been his home office on the power play for several years.
This line has completely taken over the game in about the last 8 minutes. Last 6 minutes of the second and first 2 minutes here in the third.
Quinn Hughes gains the line for Vancouver right to left. The Canucks trail 2-1. Hughes turns it over. Savoy off a steal, looking left side, and he's got Adam Henrique heading to the net. Filt can't get there. Vilander bumped the puck away. Filt could not contain down low beneath the goal line. Hughes muscled up on by Savoy. Filt continues to work. Adam Henrique close by. 2 minutes gone, third period. Oilers lead it 2-1. Edmonton 24-17-4 in season openers over the course of its history. Kulak takes a shot from distance left point and a routine save made by Thatcher Demko.
A little bit more north and south here from Edmonton to start this period. And one guy with a great take on a shot on a one-timer was Kasperi Kapanen to tie this game 1-1.
Tomasik lining up with Kapanen and Howard as his wingers. Now, you grew up in Alberta, Bob. Never really tried your hand at rodeo, I'm guessing there?
No.
Not in your skill set?
No.
Stetcher and Nurse trading the puck off the draw.
Acreage kids, not a farm kid.
Here's Nurse gaining the line. Wrist shot off the rush. A save made by Thatcher Demko. 2.5 gone by third period.
The farm kids,
2-1 score.
The farm kids knew how to throw things around. They were the better wrestlers. So you had to, if you know what I'm saying, you had to have quicker hands. But I respect what those guys do. Obviously, it's not for everybody. Not everybody likes what happens to the animals. Though some people might, I know in the case of thoroughbred racing that those animals get treated very well. Horses get treated well.
You should all be treated so well. I'll tell you a racehorse that didn't get treated that well, and that was the one in The Godfather. Chipped up the left-hand side. Vilander did not get it out. A centering pass for Tomasik. Howard threw it into the slot for Kapanen from distance. Nurse has it guided aside by Demko. Shoveled up the right-hand boards by Elias Pettersson.
Now, do you think that was a real horse head back then?
Here's Drew O'Connor. Takes it behind the net, curls out in front, and whistles a shot over the left shoulder of Calvin Pickard, who made the save. Sherwood gets it back, fires and had it blocked. A painful one by Tomasik. O'Connor to the corner. Myers another shot. A save made by Pickard, and this time Tomasik makes certain of a clear back to center. Marcus Pettersson gets it back and slams it back in. 17% of Vancouver's roster named Pettersson tonight. Myers will give it up. Here's a dish to Evander Kane. Pretty good look, but Kane did not handle that pass cleanly as it came from Lekramaki. He'll spin it around the boards for Myers. Put it behind the net. Coots able to create space. Lekramaki, a one-timer off balance. Coots unable to redirect it home. Flipped off the side of the net. Got it back for Myers. Marcus Pettersson, his shot deflected. Right to Coots. Through one man. Left corner, he'll drop it off for Kane. Playing in his hometown, of course. Kane won a Memorial Cup with the Vancouver Giants.
That was a tough team. He was a young guy then, but they had this guy named Lucic. He had a shift in one of the games in that tournament. It's called the shift.
Kane was a young guy his first year in the National Hockey League too, but didn't prevent him from taking out Matt Cook. Here's Draisaitl off to McDavid backdoor, and a great play by Pettersson to break it up intended for Mangiapane. Good read by Bouchard. The steal, the dish. Mangiapane back to Duchard. He ripped it off the goalpost. Evan Bouchard absolutely hammered that one off the post after making the steal. Got it back from McDavid. No. Taken away by Jake DeBrusk. Elias Pettersson doesn't have enough. DeBrusk takes Draisaitl to the hole and has drawn a penalty. A hole. 5 1/4 gone by in the third period. Bouchard missing a potential 3-1 goal by an eyelash, and it wasn't the hold on Draisaitl. It was up ice. Ekholm picked off his man, and he's called for the penalty.
Oilers had about 4 chances to score already in this period.
Well, Bouchard made a great play to make the steal. Draisaitl avoided taking a penalty on DeBrusk, but up ice in the high slot. Ekholm had taken out a man, and boy, Bouchard did not miss by much.
Postage.
Bouchard assisted on the go-ahead goal, and now Vancouver will try to tie it with its second power play of the night. 5 1/4 gone by, third period. Ekholm in the box.
It is preseason, and I know it's the last preseason game. Noah Philp cannot complain about the opportunity that he's been given tonight. Back out on this PK. He was 2 and 5 on faceoffs through 2 periods. Won that one.
Off the draw. Here's Hedl. Swung it up top for Philip Hronek. Kapanen and Kulak challenging on the left side. Hughes feeds Hronek. Kulak in the lane. Hughes again to Hronek, a one-timer to save made by Pickard, who made it look routine and allowed Noah Philp a clear down the middle. Emberson and Kulak will change along with Philp and Kapanen, and now the Napa Auto Parts penalty kill looks like this. Nugent Hopkins, Mangiapane, Nurse, and Bouchard walking in. One-timer ripped home. Lekramaki ties it with his second of the game. He can shoot the puck, and he made no mistake that time. From, again, the left circle, Canucks were able to free him up. And though Pickard got a piece, he could not prevent the goal.
You just got to give him credit for making a real good play. Create the look, and Calvin Pickard couldn't get across.
Garland and Hughes were the helpers. And the tying goal credited at 5:58 of this third period. And you spotted it early in the first game between these two clubs. Lekramaki can really let her fly.
Yep. Like if they hit on Lekramaki and Coots, a couple 15th overall picks, and those guys are top 6 forwards for you in the future, and people say you're getting ahead of yourself, I don't necessarily think so. Lekramaki looks like he could finish.
2-2 our score. Here's Leon Draisaitl on the ice with McDavid and Frederick 5-on-5. McDavid backs his way in, and I think we're going to have an offside whistled against Edmonton. Hard to hear the whistle with the deafening noise, especially for a preseason game. Impressive from Rogers Arena faithful. Vancouver 2, Edmonton 2. Lekramaki, second of the night, ties it on a Canuck power play. We'll be back with more third period action. It's Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network.
If you ever find yourself needing collision repair, CarStar is here to help make accidents unhappen. Any make, any model. That said, there are some accidents CarStar can't make unhappen, such as accidentally waking a hibernating bear, accidentally biting into a raw habanero pepper, accidentally throwing a frisbee at a beehive. CarStar, Canada's trusted collision repair expert, is here to make car accidents unhappen. For a location near you, visit carstar.ca.
Do you have tickets to an upcoming event at Rogers Place that you can't attend? Donate your tickets to the Edmonton Oilers Community Foundation Seats for Kids program, presented by Eagle Builders. Seats for Kids provides unused game tickets for charities, allowing children and families to enjoy hockey at Rogers Place. And for many, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. To be a part of the Seats for Kids program presented by Eagle Builders, please email edmonton@kidsupfront.com. That's edmonton@kidsupfront.com.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in-stock, ready-to-deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists. The company that does things for you that are unheard of, like keeping 41,000 items in stock in our own warehouses. With customer service reps on the line to get you what you need when you need it 24/7, 365 every time. Maybe you heard it here first. Want to hear more? Visit uline.ca. ULINE, your shipping and industrial supply specialists.
Listen on air, online, and on the Radio Player Canada app.
This is the Oilers Radio Network.
So we've got a 2-2 game. The Oilers off a neutral zone draw. A little dish from McDavid to Bouchard, but his shot blocked. Sent around the boards. Ekholm screening for Draisaitl, whose shot flutters wide from the left half boards. Bouchard to Frederick from distance, and that's a painful block shot. for Elias Pettersson. He'll try to skate this one off. Meanwhile, the dangerous McDavid, top of the right circle. Feathers one up to Bouchard. Spin move on Besser. Myers denied a centering pass, but not this cross-seamer to McDavid, who tried to slip it through a troika of Canucks and could not do it. Myers will clear for Vancouver. Besser tried to pitchfork it in. It's batted out of midair by DeBrusque. He's checked by Evan Bouchard. 12:50 to play in regulation. The game is tied at 2. Draisaitl and Kapanen with the goals for Edmonton. Lekkerimäki has both for Vancouver. Each team has a power play goal and 2 tries. Bouchard. Right wing, Emberson to Adam Henrique. Turned it over at the Vancouver line. Flipped back in by Sherwood. Kulak. Hammered by Bluger. Do you have Vancouver as a bubble team, Bob? Somewhere between 7 and 10 in the Western Conference?
Yes, I do.
Is Calgary in that category as well for you?
That was a high stick. Broke that right in the face.
Here's Hughes. Wrist shot. Fought off by Pickard from the top of the left circle. Rebound back to Hughes as Vancouver operating in the attack zone. Hughes putting the brakes on him and fanning on a one-timer Vilander. Centering pass Sherwood. Didn't handle it cleanly from O'Connor, and now Savoy has a step. Racing in from the left side. To the net, denied by Demko. And then when he tried to bank it off the Vancouver goaltender, he was foiled in that endeavor. Wow. Savoy blazing speed down the left side.
Well, he was the fastest skater last year at the HL skills competition. He can wheel.
Here's Hughes off to Philip Roenick. Stetcher jabbing at that puck to create for Ike Howard. Tomashik, who set up Kapanen for the Oilers' first goal. Howard coming off the boards from Kapanen. Spinning and centering off to Kapanen. Backdoor play, and Tomashik could not come up with it. And Vancouver a bit scatterbrained in its own zone. We'll see Roenick get away with an icing call up the right-hand side.
That's a preseason non-icing right there.
Here's Stetcher with 11 minutes on the game clock and the game tied at 2. Darnell Nurse wrists one down deep. Tomashik belted by Elias Pettersson. Kapanen had it stripped. And a soft chip set by Lekkerimäki into the corner. Bouchard, left-hand side for Ekholm. And he's going to back off with both teams making wholesale changes in personnel. Oilers have outshot the Canucks 24-20 tonight. They are tied at 2. Bouchard to Ekholm off the tip of his stick, handled by Demko. Marcus Pettersson wheels one up to Baines, who took his eye off it. He was worried about Bouchard and lost the handle, and then Bouchard looked like he was hooked.
Twice.
And no penalty was called. Then Bouchard might have gotten away with a high stick on Hedel. 2 players might have traded penalties on one another right there. Here's Podkolzin against Marcus Pettersson. Nugent Hopkins steps into the offensive zone, and he'll engage in the corner. Coming out of it against Myers. Emberson turned it over, tried to go lateral with it, and Garland picked it off. Connor Garland is centering pass. Quick shot off the post from Baines. So earlier in the period, Bouchard hit goal post. Now it's Arshdeep Baines, who had a mammoth season with the Red Deer Rebels as a 20-year-old. Garland, he was belted by Mangiapane, and he's shaken up. Connor Garland did not like that hit.
Yeah, that's going to be a penalty.
He got absolutely drilled.
He knows how to draw. He's a greasy player, good player for them.
9:17 to go, third period. We'll come back with a Vancouver power play. Canucks will be looking to regain the lead. It's 2-2 in the third, with 9:17 left in the preseason. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network.
Hey, Paul Brandt here. You know, Alberta's a special place. From the Rockies to the Plains, it's a land of hard work and big dreams. If you're going to tackle it all, you need a truck that can keep up. That's why I can't say enough about my Ford F-150. It's more than a truck. It's a partner. Rugged toughness, serious capability, and smart features that make your life easier, like available Pro Power onboard. The Ford F-150. Get yours today at your Alberta Ford dealer and tell them PB sent you.
Over the last decade, the world of work has changed dramatically. It's a change that can cause a disconnect between a company and its employees. But a partnership with Aon can help by making decisions that create a more flexible, engaged, and resilient workforce. Aon's experience and expertise, global understanding, and advanced analytics ensure that every client is better informed and better advised so that they can make better decisions. Whatever the next decade brings, Aon is in the business of better decisions.
Steelhaus Triton, two legendary oilfield services brands, one powerful partnership. Rooted in innovation, reliability, and a steadfast commitment to excellence, Steelhaus is proudly 100% Canadian-owned and locally manufactured. With over 15 field service locations across the prairies and up to the Rockies, they deliver world-class energy solutions with unmatched responsiveness, helping their customers thrive in the most demanding environments. Steelhaus Triton, engineered for performance, built in Canada. Visit steelhausinc.com for more information.
All games, all season. You're listening to the Oilers Radio Network.
We'll see.
2-2 our score. Mangiapane in the box with 9:17 to go in the third period. The call is roughing. Did he follow through? Because at live speed, I didn't see much there.
Well, yeah. And the Oilers have got their big guns on the ice here to start the PK.
You think that was a good call?
It's a penalty.
Draisaitl against Elias Pettersson.
But Garland knows how to draw them, too. Garland's a very effective player. I wonder if
you've got Draisaitl and McDavid on the PK again here. Napa Auto Parts off the draw. Quinn Hughes wheeling up top, high slot. Another penalty coming against Edmonton. I'm sure the Canucks recognize it. Hughes slammed it off the stick of McDavid, and now we'll have the call for roughing. And it's Leon Draisaitl.
Leon lost the draw, and then Pettersson picked him off, so Leon ripped off the lid. That's an automatic penalty.
That's an automatic penalty. They changed that rule. Well, they added that rule 2 years ago.
As long as his head isn't in that helmet as it goes off, I think everything's okay. All's fair in love and war.
Draisaitl wouldn't be trying to ensure there's no overtime in the preseason, would he? 2-2, 9:03 to go in the third period. Minute 46 of 5-on-3 power play time for Vancouver.
Wasn't there a story about Mickey Klutz and the Bronx Zoo? The book The Bronx Zoo about that? About the game between the Mets and the Yankees. It was like an exhibition game. And they were mad because Mickey Klutz made this ridiculous play. They tried to fire the ball over he was playing first base. Tried to airmail it so that they'd scored an error.
I don't know that one.
You can look it up.
Pettersson off the draw. You've got Quinn Hughes. Peering inside. Instead, dishing up top for Pettersson. Little give and go behind.
This is the European.
Calvin Pickard, two men beneath the goal line. It's DeBrusk and Besser. Now up top for Hughes. Pettersson can one-time it, slings it back for Hughes. Wrist shot deflected. Rebound, Besser. And a man was tripped up. And it was Ty Emberson heading for the puck, and he was hacked down by Evander Kane. So that will negate one of the penalties, and it'll be 4-on-3. And Evander Kane knew it as soon as Emberson went down. Got his stick right in the skates. A no-doubter.
Well, the other thing it does is they're still on the 4-on-3, but now they got a D-zone draw.
And at the back end of this, Edmonton will have a 40-second power play. Evander Kane last year did not play in the regular season. 6 goals, 12 points in the 21 playoff games for the Oilers.
Relatively productive. The problem was anytime he touched anybody in the final, they were calling him.
Timeout on the ice. Vancouver will take it as Adam Foote wants to run down the various scenarios that are going to be at play here. First 4-on-3, then 4-on-4, and then 5-on-4 for Edmonton. You're going to see all of that in the next 100 seconds.
Well, on a perfect world, yes, you would see that in the next 100 seconds.
Obviously, things would change if Vancouver's able to bang one in here 4-on-3. The Oilers will send out Henrique with Ekholm and Bouchard. Vancouver counters with Pettersson, Besser, DeBrusk, and Hughes. Off the face-off, won by Henrique. Spun down low, and Hughes takes possession for Vancouver. Here come the Canucks right to left. Elias Pettersson, change of pace on Bouchard, fools no one. DeBrusk coming off the right half boards, tough pass. Hughes will pick it up at the red line. Bring it back in for Vancouver. Scott DeBrusk is a sidecar. Instead, backhands it out to Besser in the high slot. Now Hughes, top of the left circle. Over to Pettersson. Peers inside. Hughes. One-timer Besser save made. Rebound stopped by Pickard at the expense of DeBrusk. And Henrique clears length of the ice. 30 seconds left in the 4-on-3. Game tied at 2. 7:45 remaining in regulation. Brock Besser into the attack zone. Hughes gives it back to Pettersson. Now receives a pass in the high slot. Whiffed initially, trying to go cross seam for Pettersson. DeBrusk right between the hashes. Instead, it's down low to Besser. Hughes up top. 8 seconds left in the penalty to Mangiapane. Pettersson shoots high and wide, glove side, and now Mangiapane prepares to come out. Hughes, Pettersson, one-timer Besser, sprawling right pad save made by Pickard. And now Edmonton's even at 4-on-4 and set to go on a power play in 5 seconds. Nugent-Hopkins to Nurse. Mangiapane carries in. Nugent-Hopkins waits. Saucered across, and Mangiapane wasn't ready for it. Hughes will bring it out of the zone and then wisely kicked it back to Roenick, recognizing Draisaitl was on the ice. The problem was the hard rim should have been stopped by McDavid. It got through him, however, and Connor Garland was able to dump it down low, and that'll pretty much melt the remaining power play time for Edmonton. Oilers are not going to get a look on the man advantage as Evander Kane comes out of the box. Here's McDavid in across the line. Poked free in the high slot. Blueger with a clear. 6.5 minutes remaining. No blood shed on either side on that power play sequence. Garland will dump it in for the Canucks. Pickard to Bouchard. Swiftly ahead to Draisaitl from McDavid. Now he's got it back. Gets around Coots. Tried to send it across to Draisaitl. Lekarmaki got a stick on it. Boy, Lekarmaki's had a great game tonight. Scored both Vancouver goals, and now Draisaitl shielded from a puck, allowing Demko to fall on it with 6:02 left in the hockey game. And we are still tied at 2 with Lekarmaki having tallied twice for the Canucks. Kapanen and Draisaitl in the second period for Edmonton. I thought Nugent-Hopkins, when I looked at it again, that pass a bit too high for Mangiapane as it was tipped. And it got it a little bit airborne. It was some kind of play to just get that through. But a tougher chance than I realized for Mangiapane. Good play by Besser to get a stick on it. Tomashik. Won a face-off. Podkolzin, a quick shot blocked. I think the larger point is, Bob, when you're a newcomer to the Oilers, you got to realize you got 4 or 5 world-class players that are going to somehow find a way to get you a puck that you probably didn't get on other teams. Is that fair?
Yep.
Keeper Sherwood did not get it out. Roenick will move it for Elias Pettersson, center ice Blueger. And these high-end players don't necessarily want it back. Guys like McDavid and Draisaitl want you to finish.
Don't defer hurt too much.
That's right. Hughes.
Unless you're talking about a contract extension to get the cap down, at least until October the 6th.
Chipped in by Braden Coots. Pickard got a healthy piece of Coots as he tried to dash back behind the net to retrieve the puck. Kapanen got his stick in tight on Hughes to free it up for Phil, but a centering pass broken up by Coots in the right spot there. From distance, Darnell Nurse denied by Demko, and now Stetcher crowded by Lekkerimäki as we go inside 5 minutes to play in the third. Stetcher chiseled it out of the corner, but Evander Kane was there to race it through the middle. And now he'll weave his way to the right-hand side before trying to center. That was denied by Nurse, and Henrique will send it off the glass back to center. Across to Pettersson from Myers. He'll bang it in deep. Filipino against Stetcher and Nurse. And the Oiler defenders win that battle. McDavid nearly gave it away to Hedl. Didn't manage to muscle it back through the neutral zone. And it's a reset for the Canucks. Wristed down deep by Pettersson off the glass. Draisaitl had his pocket picked to the net. Backhander denied. Pickard stopped Garland, who rolled to the middle when that puck came free. Garland from Myers, a weak shot from a sharp angle. Easily stopped by Pickard, and then Garland's centering pass deflected all the way out to the Vancouver blue line as we go inside 4 minutes to play in regulation. Game tied at 2. Here's Garland. Denied by McDavid at the blue line, and now McDavid sensing he had something, but Myers in that 6'8" frame got in his way. Puck trickles back through the neutral zone. Ekholm will start it again. Draisaitl with McDavid on his left. Double teamed on the half wall. Breaks that double team. Sets up Emerson for a shot into the midsection of Thatcher Demko, and will take timeout with 3:24 to play in the third period. Perhaps the preseason finale destined for overtime. We are deadlocked at 2. Rogers Arena, Vancouver, with Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network.
It's a new era for Ford in Edmonton. Welcome to Big West Ford. Located westbound on Stony Plain Road just east of the Henday, Big West Ford is Edmonton's newest and most exciting Ford dealership. Whether you're after the legendary F-150, the Powerhouse 350 Super Duty, or the adventurous Bronco, they've got you covered with exceptional selection and service right here in your city. Big West Ford, driven by you. Visit Big West Ford at 18208 Stony Plain Road or online at bigwestford.com.
The same AI-powered technology that helps Oilers fans move through security efficiently at Rogers Place is also available for Edmonton area schools, hospitals, and workplaces. Evolve Technology, proud partner of the Edmonton Oilers and official security screening partner of Rogers Place, helps identify potential threats and create safe experiences at hockey games and wherever people gather. Visit Rogers Place to experience Evolve live or check out evolve.com for more information. That's EVOLV.com. Businesses deserve the best protection against cyber threats. Alltech offers state-of-the-art IT and cybersecurity solutions to safeguard digital assets. The team of experts at Alltech are dedicated to providing the highest level of security, ensuring that data remains safe and operations are seamless. With Alltech, businesses can focus on growth while the rest is handled. From advanced threat detection to comprehensive data security, Alltech has it covered. Choose Alltech for reliable and effective cybersecurity. Visit alt-tech.ca now to learn more.
Listen on air, online, and on the Radio Player Canada app.
This is the Oilers Radio Network.
3 minutes, 24 seconds to play third period. We are tied at 2. Jack Michaels, Bob Stauffer with you. Rogers Arena, Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth. Cam and Bob will have the regular season opener for you on Wednesday night. Edmonton Oilers, Calgary Flames, season number 46 in the NHL for the Oilers. Off the draw, Quinn Hughes will put one up the left-hand boards. Kulak trying to hold sway against Drew O'Connor. Forced it loose for Kiefer Sherwood, and now you've got Bluger around the boards for Philip Roenick. Centering pass sticked aside by Pickard. Hughes from Sherwood. Roenick, a drive and a save made by Pickard. Then that might have grazed the outside of the goalpost, Bob. O'Connor in a dogfight with Kulak. 2:50 to play in the third. And a rink-wide pass intended for Hughes going to be intercepted by Mangiapane. He'll chip and charge. Rodick able to corral in the corner. Lay it off the glass, but Colson knocked away by Sherwood.
It's 2 games for Vancouver. There's a game when they've got Hughes on the ice, and then there's the game when they don't have Hughes on the ice.
Absolutely. He is, quite frankly, he's been better than I thought he was going to be. He is a better defender than I ever. He just can skate out of traffic, out of trouble.
It's the composure with the lateral movement.
And then the edge work is unreal. Kapanen up the right-hand side. Phenomenal player. And again, if it weren't for Cale Makar, I think you'd probably call him the best defenseman in the National Hockey League. Up the right-hand side, Archdeep Baines. Elias Pettersson working his way in and shooting high and wide. That kicked off the glass. Pettersson down low. Baines. Little spin move on Stetcher. Then tried to tuck it inside, and that will eventually be picked up by Marcus Pettersson. 100 seconds left in regulation. We are tied at 2. Lekkerimäki, both goals for Vancouver. Kapanen and Draisaitl with the goals for Edmonton. Here's Adam Henrique in on the forecheck. Baines will successfully get a clear. Bouchard kicks it back for Ekholm in the Oilers zone. Oilers left to right in this final minute 15. Here's Matt Savoy. Checked by Ronick. Got it in deep for Adam Henrique. Fierce battle ensues, and now you've got a clearing bid for Philip Hedl that's successful. Back to the red line. Bouchard missed Savoy. Hedl will tap it back to Ronick, and now the Canucks will reset as we enter the final minute of regulation. Ronick fired up the gut, spilled in by Evander Kane. Darnell Nurse on the puck. Bluger chases him off to Troy Stetcher. Right-hand side, McDavid taps it back for Stetcher, moving to his left. Then a collision before he hit the red line, and that leads to an icing call. And Stetcher's angry with himself. Banged his stick on the ice.
Got to make the simple play.
37 seconds to play in regulation. And Vancouver will get an attacking zone faceoff.
Yeah, that puck hit the post in the deflection from Bluger and then went up, hit the left post.
And just landed almost on the back of the net.
Pickard never knew where it was.
Pettersson against Draisaitl, won the faceoff. Myers smoked it wide. Rebound, Draisaitl hopped over his stick as it came off the end boards. And then Pettersson had his shot blocked. Frederick tried to create an odd man rush, and the Canucks tapped it back into the zone, but offside with 23 seconds left in regulation.
So they've gone with a big rangy defense pair here. The Dragon, you call him.
Marcus Pettersson got that nickname on the Swedish Hoops playground, which of course everyone comes out with a nickname when you're playing high-level basketball in Sweden. Here's McDavid.
Is that an oxymoron? High-level basketball?
Circling right-hand side. Draisaitl to Ekholm, who crushed one toward the net. But a block shot for Tyler Myers, and now with 7 seconds, Bouchard will cut off Evander Kane. And we're heading for overtime. McDavid, 2 seconds, and at the horn, a wrist shot from Frederick is gloved by Thatcher Demko from about 55 feet. And we will play overtime with Vancouver having forged and created the need for OT on the game-tying goal. Power play marker scored by Jonathan Lekkerimäki. Shots in regulation, 27 for the Oilers, 26 for the Canucks. 11-10 in the third period in favor of Edmonton. And now the clear of the ice, and we'll be back with 3-on-3 overtime hockey to close out the NHL preseason. It's Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network.
Lock screen. I forgot to edit.
Did you know that there are 9 Napa Auto Parts stores serving the greater Edmonton area and have been doing so for more than 50
Downloads tab item
years?
6 of 6.
Since Napa first opened in Edmonton, the community...
3-on-3, 5-minute overtime session. Edmonton 2, Vancouver 2. And the Oilers, as one would expect, McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard, 3-on-3 overtime. Edmonton set a league record last year with 12 wins in overtime.
I would go Nugent Hopkins and Kapanen in the next pairing because of Kapanen's speed. And then I might want to look at Savoy and possibly Howard. Though you might need a center. You'll see Nurse in the second pairing, second grouping on the ice in the fence. You go Kulak or Ekholm in the third.
I think Chris Knobloch's thinking it'll be over before you have to worry about a third set.
Well,
we'll see what happens.
What is possession again? 9/10 of the law. You win the draw.
Pedersen, DeBrusk, and Roenick for Vancouver. Wow, Quinn Hughes is not on the ice to start overtime for the Canucks. They're playing the matchup game. And Vancouver wins the draw. Roenick quarterbacking for now. He'll drop it off and change to be replaced by Quinn Hughes. So that's the strategy employed by Adam Foote. Win the faceoff and then get Hughes out there. DeBrusk walks in right-hand side under duress from McDavid. Wisely sets it up for Vancouver captain Quinn Hughes. So much speculation about Hughes and his future in Vancouver. Does he want to look at Jersey and join his brothers, Jack and Luke? Here's Pedersen weaving his way into the offensive zone. Shadowed by Bouchard and Draisaitl. Shovels it out to Besser. He'll take a walk back to center.
40 seconds in. The Oilers haven't had the puck.
Well, the Canucks are playing it fairly conservative. Now, pinwheeling away from Draisaitl's Hughes. He's going to take it to the hole. And Philip Hedl. Little chip over to Besser. Now Hughes against Bouchard. Waits, hesitates, dishes off. Wrist shot. And that missed from Brock Besser. Off the plexi out to Hughes at center.
What do I say about possession? They've had the puck the entire minute plus.
And the Oilers have not made a change. Garland. Hughes at center. Nowhere really to move it except back to Garland, who then walks in looking to attack the net. Hughes has changed. Roenick onto the ice. Receives a pass left circle. Gives to Garland. Splits defense and scores. Sent it underneath the left pad of Calvin Pickard, and Connor Garland has given Vancouver a 3-2 overtime win to close out the preseason. Canucks will go to 4-2, and the Oilers' preseason slate ends with a record of 4-2-2. And now Edmonton can look forward to its 46th year in the National Hockey League with a season-opening date at Rogers Place against the Calgary Flames Wednesday night at 8 o'clock.
So think about what happened in this game here. You had Pedersen win a draw against Draisaitl. Leon got frustrated, created a 5-on-3. The Oilers were fortunate to survive that. Pedersen wins the opening faceoff to start overtime against Draisaitl.
And you never get the puck.
Never get the puck.
Roenick to Garland for the winner. 90 seconds into OT, and as Bob mentioned, 90 seconds of possession for Vancouver. And Garland finishes it off. He came within a goal of what would have been his third 20-goal campaign last year. Finished with 50 points for a second time in his career. Was a huge favorite of Rick Tocchet, and now for Adam Foote in the preseason finale. His new coach watches Connor Garland do what he's done throughout his NHL career. I mean, Bob, we saw him take a puck in the face and find a way to win a game for the Coyotes against the Oilers at Rogers Place, and tonight his OT winner caps
the only
preseason.
Only shot in the overtime.
Yep, and he had 2 goals in that game where he took the puck off the face. Thatcher Demko, good early, keeping Edmonton at bay. And then the Oilers broke through with 2 goals in the second period, Kapanen and Draisaitl. But when Edmonton had chances to put this one away, Bouchard hit the goal post. Yeah. At the other end, Baines hit a post for Vancouver, and the Oilers never got that third goal and end up dropping one in OT.
Yeah, and I think, when you've played in the 7th and 6th games of the Stanley Cup final the last 2 years, you just want the preseason over. Let's get going.
I agree, but I will say this, Bob, and I think we should talk about this. I didn't say it on the air because, quite frankly, it's an Oilers broadcast, and you don't necessarily want to be a purveyor of doom and gloom. But I felt last year was a poor camp, and I was not the least surprised that Edmonton was absolutely blasted in its season opener against the Winnipeg Jets. I didn't feel they had a good camp. I didn't like the mood. I felt they were still in mourning, not just from the Stanley Cup loss, but from some of the departures personnel-wise. I've got a decidedly different mood about this year's camp, and I want to bring in Brett Kulak and talk about it a little bit, Brett. Brett, if you don't mind, indulge me a little bit, not really talk about tonight's game, but talk about this year's camp as compared to last year's camp. From my position, Brett, and I'm an outsider, no question about it, it feels like the mood is a little bit lighter, and there's a bit more excitement about the prospects of what the regular season may bring. Am I at all on track with that compared to last year?
Yeah, I think you're seeing the same things that we're feeling down here for sure. I think we had a good camp. Everyone's in early. Everyone's putting the work every single day and building, and we've come together as a group. We got a decent amount of new guys in the locker room, and I think those guys are mixing in and gelling well, which is important. And I think we've come a long way, and we're putting things together on the ice, and we're excited to get the regular season going.
Brett, I mentioned this yesterday with Jerry Johansson. Don Lucian from The Athletic told me the Oilers' defense is the number 1 defense in the NHL, 1 through 6. And yes, there's McDavid and Draisaitl up front. By the way, the forward group was ranked 2nd by The Athletic. But number 1 defense, you're part of that group, and the line was the backbone of the team. I'm not sure you guys were completely healthy last year in the playoffs with the 6D. You're going to be healthy to start the year. Thought on maybe what your collective group can do from the back end to help transition pucks up the ice and defend and, play the game more in the opposition zone and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we're, it's for sure the best D-core I've been a part of, and I think they're pretty spot on with the ranking. We're pretty solid back there. We're pretty deep, and the big challenge will be that there's lots of guys who want ice time for sure. So I think that's the big thing. That's good too. You push each other in practice. Everyone's going to get opportunities, and it's going to be competitive to get those PK shifts and get the big shifts at big moments of the game. So it's nice. It's a privilege to play with these guys, and I learn a lot from them because we got lots of good D-men on this team.
Brett, last one from us, and it's another thought about just the greater goals. And everyone knows you're part of a veteran group who ultimately won't be satisfied with anything other than a Stanley Cup win. But on the other hand, does this team need to learn to appreciate some of the victories in the regular season and perhaps find a way to enjoy the grind a bit more than it maybe has in the past and not get solely focused on Stanley Cup or bust?
Yeah, you know what? I think we have big goals. We demand a lot of ourselves every day, and I think that's what's led to the success we've had the past couple of years. The leaders on our team, they bring everyone, they pull everyone along in practice every day. They don't take a day off. We're pushing each other every day, and we want to be at the best come game time. And you know what? We got big goals for the season, and you want to enjoy it and have fun along the way. But no matter what, if you're winning, you're always having a good time. So I think that's the main focus.
Brett, thanks so much for the time. Can't wait for Wednesday night.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's Brett Kulak, who, of course, began his career on the other side of this Battle Alberta rivalry. 4th-round pick of the Calgary Flames, and he's carved out a heck of a career for himself in the National Hockey League. And he has not missed a game as an Edmonton Oiler. 362 consecutive games, including the postseason. An absolute workhorse. And on a club that's fairly durable, Kulak sticks out as a guy who's been the ultimate and the most durable.
So I'm going to give you the stat that's going to surprise most of the listeners right now. Most people see Brett Kulak as the number 5 defenseman on this team. Last year in the playoffs, he played the 2nd most per game of all the defensemen. The only defenseman that played more than him was Evan Bouchard. And, of course, Evan Bouchard plays first-unit power play. So that shows you in how many different scenarios Brett Kulak was deployed. Paul Coffey used him on the right side a bit with Darnell Nurse. I think we'll see mostly left side. But what I see happening here is...
Well, you just said it. Paul Coffey was a huge advocate for Brett Kulak, and I think allowed Kulak to explore more facets of his game than perhaps he was allowed to in the first 6 or 7 years of his career.
I had a former player say to me, Brett Kulak is going to age well because of his skating ability and where it
and he can move the puck.
And he can move the puck. And the one comment was the Oilers need to align their minutes with their left shot defenseman. You got Ekholm's now 35 years of age. He doesn't need to play 22 and a half minutes every night. Nurse can play 22 minutes, but Kulak is a guy who can play 18, 19, 20 minutes. He played over 20 in the regular season because of injuries, but the Oilers were short on defense last year. Now they have Jake Wallman, who played 22 minutes a game last year as well.
He has a lot of athletic ability,
He's got a lot of athletic ability. They're going to have a good defense. I think the one thing that maybe was a little unnerving for me in preseason is I was hoping for a little bit more scoring. You know what I mean? And you know, like Kapanen gave him a little bit, but I think you're hoping for. And hey, it's just preseason. Let's see how it translates in already.
You'd like to see Savoy, Howard bang in a few more. Mangiapane got a couple, to get going a little bit.
Maybe one more. If each of those three guys had one more each, you'd
feel better. Okay.
Just a little bit better, because I think with Howard, what's going to happen is his ears are going to perk up like a horse when he scores. He might be a guy that builds a little bit of like he got the power play goal in Winnipeg on the rip job, right, where he hammered that one off the half wall.
The only thing I'd say about that, Bob, is I can think of previous preseasons where there was the Ty Ratty, there was the Jesse Puljujärvi. Who was the guy that got his third or fourth?
Magnus Pujärvi,
but more recently, he played a little bit in Arizona. He came in and had a good preseason. Brandon Perlini. I don't need to see any preseason All-Stars.
I know.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
You don't want to be Brian Savage and be Mr. October. In baseball, you want to be Mr. October. In hockey,
no. You want to be there at the end of the year. And that's why Chris Knobloch has said at various points he's a little excited to see what this team is in March and April. That said, Bob,
so I'll make the prediction.
I imagine you're feeling fairly bullish.
I think this team will score more than they did last year, and part of it is because what happened in the final 14 games last year.
Yeah, provided they stay healthy. These are all caveats.
And I think they'll finish with more regular season points. There's no guarantee in the playoffs, and I'll tell you why. For 2 years, the Edmonton Oilers avoided the one team that I thought could have beat them in the West, and that was Colorado. Colorado scared me, and that was the one team. And maybe I've overrated Colorado. And the funny thing is, Jack, today the athletic rankings came out and they had Edmonton finishing with the most points. Dom Lucian does those rankings. He was one of the few guys in the Athletic 2 years in a row picked Edmonton to beat Dallas. He said based on his player ranking system that the Oilers would beat Dallas. Now, we didn't expect Stuart Skinner to outduel Jake Hector as decisively as he did in both series.
And that's because that was really the difference from my way of thinking.
922 and 924, and Stuart's going to play a big part of it, and so there's another guy in this story that, may play a factor for Edmonton. Because Stuart Skinner was a 914 his first year in the NHL. Okay? And that other guy is a guy you know. Peter Aubrey. No disrespect to Dustin Schwartz before, but it was the same voice for a long time. He got a different set of eyes, a different voice, because goaltending is the great equalizer. And if the Oilers get any, they will have a very good team. I'm going to tell you that right now.
No team has gone to a Stanley Cup final for a third year in a row after losing the first two since the aforementioned 1969-1970 St. Louis Blues. That team was coached by Scotty Bowman. His son, Stan Bowman, is the architect of the 25-26 Oilers, who will take the ice for their season debut. We'll have it for you Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. Cam Mood, Bob Stauffer with a call, and then they'll come right back to you with Game 2, and that'll be a matchup that we saw tonight. The Vancouver Canucks will visit Rogers Place, and that's a week from tomorrow night, a Hockey Night in Canada game, and 8 o'clock starting time, Oilers-Canucks. There's your first two games. What could you ask for more than Calgary and Vancouver to be a lid lifter on the 25-26 campaign? Cam and Bob will have both of those. It's been my privilege to bring you the preseason finale from Vancouver's Rogers Arena, where tonight the Canucks edged the Oilers by a count of 3-2. Kapanen and Draisaitl with the Edmonton goals. Lekkerimäki had a pair for Vancouver. And Connor Garland, the overtime winner, 90 seconds in. Your final score, once again, Vancouver 3, Edmonton 2. We'll talk to you on Wednesday night. Until then, for Bob Stauffer and, of course, our people back in the studio, Brendan Escott and Rob Brown. I'm Jack Michaels saying good night from Vancouver, BC. Ladies and gentlemen, the pleasure was all ours. The post-game show starts right now.